your traditional funeral, anyone who's watching this in the UK will know what I'm talking about when I say 20 minutes down the creme. So I don't know where you're watching in the world, but in the UK, 20 minutes down the creme is usually a quite soulless building. Quite often it's where grandma was taken for cremation, and it's where granddad went, and then you want to go there because that's where the family crematorium is. Occasionally they're really, really nice buildings, but in the main they're quite depressing and grey and a little bit soulless, but they don't have to be religious. What's weird is that they're kind of designed around churches, but they're not, they don't serve a religious function, so they kind of don't have anything nice about them that you might find in a church. But you would go there and you would have 20 minutes start to finish. So you are brought in maybe with usually men in frock coats, like old-fashioned coats and top hats, like you'd see in a Victorian, like Dickensian sort of look. And they have these sticks and they march in, and it's all very, very sort of serious and very somber. And then you would have usually someone like me standing at the front, usually a priest, and they would say, welcome. And then you would have a song, quite often a hymn that no one's ever heard of. And then you would have some words, and then someone like me might do a little speech about them, or the priest would say a speech about them. Then you'd have another hymn that no one's ever heard. And then you'd have a poem, and it might be "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep." And then you'd have another song that no one's ever heard, and then you'd all go home. And you'd have just before that, you'd have a commendation, which is based on a religious rite where you commend the body to the earth. But obviously in a cremation setting, the body is then taken behind the curtain and into the back of the crematorium. I increasingly find that people don't want the curtain at the end. And there's this real shift to not wanting to have any kind of finality. So you might go and touch the coffin and then leave, but you leave the coffin in situ. So that would be your crematorium, and the church would probably be the same, but just a bit more religious. And often in the creme, you'll have My Way by Frank Sinatra, and you'll have the Lord's Prayer, or you might have Amazing Grace. And those are the more traditional, more typical stuff that if you're my kind of generation, you would be quite familiar with. So I'm in my early 50s, and now people of my generation are obviously starting to die. And did you know it's called, what's it called? Sniper Alley. So if you're my age and you're between, I hate telling you this, but it's a fact. If you're aged between 50 and 60, you're more likely to die during those 10 years than if you get past 60.